Okay, so if art is subjective and I can dislike a movie that you absolutely love, then, how do you even define great screenwriting, and how could you possibly know if you're ready? This question comes up all the time, and I'm going to at least attempt to answer it. I saw this just the other day on the Screenwriting subreddit, and without even realizing they were doing it, the writer who was posting asked two questions. Yes, they wanted to know if they were ready, but they also wanted to know when they should start trying to connect with industry people and get noticed. So I'm going to try and answer that second question first, and then I'm going to talk about how you can know if your writing is ready. But no matter where you are with your writing, now is the time to start meeting people. Yeah, it might be premature to get noticed for your writing, but you can be noticed for being a driven and passionate person with just like a great and professional attitude pretty much from the start. And you would be surprised how far that passion and great attitude can take you. And here's the thing, just like it takes years to get your writing to a professional level, it also takes years to build a great network. And as I say all the time, this is not a business about what you know, and it's not a business about who you know, it's both. Connections lead to opportunities. They also help make you a better writer. The longer you put off meeting people, the further behind you're going to be. The idea of networking intimidates a lot of newer writers, but I think part of that is because there's just this idea that they have to meet all of these hugely successful producers and executives and directors right out of the gate. And I'm telling you right now, that is not it. First of all, networking is not about ladder climbing, it's about making friends. Second, just like with your writing, you can start small and just build out from there. And if you adopt a long-term mindset and say, hey, if it's going to take me 5 or 7 or 10 years to get any good at this writing thing, I wonder how many people I could meet during that time, well, then it suddenly starts to feel a little bit more manageable. And by the way, if you want actionable tips on how to meet people, I have a bunch in a video that I did a few weeks ago, and I'm going to link to that right at the end of this video. Okay, so you're like, fine, I know I need to meet people, but how do I know if my writing is ready? If you're like most writers I've known over the years, and like me back in the day, after you've written your first or second or maybe even your third script, you're going to be very, very proud of it, and you're going to think that it's worthy of production. Then, as you write your next few scripts, and maybe quite a few more than that, you're going to start wallowing in self-doubt and feeling like an amateur and wondering how you could have ever thought that you might be able to do this for a living. But because you've already invested so much time into this craft, you're just going to keep going out of sheer stubbornness and force of will. And at some point, and this takes nearly everybody a number of years and a number of drafts of a number of scripts, you're going to write something and then you're going to step back and be like, oh wait, this is kind of professional. This is what's known as the Dunning-Krueger effect. Maybe you've heard of it. It's this annoyingly accurate phenomenon among humans that seems to exist across a wide variety of disciplines. When you're new to something, in this case screenwriting, you don't know what you don't know, and so you just kind of really overestimate your ability. And then once you start to truly understand the things that make a screenplay work, your confidence takes this like massive nosedive. Only after you've really put in the work and studied the craft for a number of years does that confidence start to rise again. It's not really the same thing as imposter syndrome. Almost every professional writer I know has imposter syndrome from time to time. But what does tend to be true among them is that they kind of got to a point where they recognized the quality in their own work was something at least approaching professional. The first time I had this feeling was on my 7th script. And the truth is, it wasn't quite ready, but it was really, really close. And because I'd been writing for years, and because I'd been studying the craft, and because I'd read hundreds of screenplays, I just kind of knew it. Because I was like 6 or 7 years in, I had already built up a network of really great writers, and so a few professionals took a look. And for the first time in my life, a pro writer was talking to their manager about me. Now that manager didn't sign me, and I didn't break in with that script, but I did break in with my very next one. So that gut feeling was pretty on point, and I was finally on the upswing of that Dunning-Krueger curve. So maybe you're like, oh my god, he's literally just going to tell me to write a lot and read a lot of screenplays like every other asshole out there. Why did I even click on this video? I mean, yeah, you should do those things. If you've written 5 scripts and have read a couple hundred screenplays by professionals, it's a lot easier to assess how your work stacks up against those. But also, there are other ways to know if you're ready that are more concrete than just some experience-based gut feeling. But most of them involve knowing some people who know what they're talking about, which is reason number a billion why you need to start meeting people now. Here are 3 really good clues that you're on the right track. First, the feedback that you get from other writers begins to change. Depending on how transparent your readers are, you may consistently get feedback that's positive and warm and encouraging. That's nice, I guess, but it's not always that helpful. But when you start to get feedback from people who aren't close friends or family members or significant others, and that feedback sounds a little more like holy shit, this is amazing, I cannot wait to see this movie, and then they just continue to talk about it for like days or weeks on end, there is a very different kind of energy behind that type of feedback, and you can feel it. And it suggests that even if your script isn't perfect, there is something about it that is working very, very well, and it's very possible that you have leveled up to something that's close to professional. Second, if people pass around your work without you even asking them to do so, even if it's just to like another writer to say, hey, you should really read this thing, that is an excellent sign that your writing is a cut above the rest. People don't tell people to read stuff that's bad. They don't even tell people to read stuff that's mediocre. Third, if you have great writers who have access to other great writers and they're asking you for feedback on their own work, that's a really good sign. Like if you know somebody who's already broken in and they definitely have a wide circle of people that they could go to for good quality feedback, if they come to you for notes, that means that you are doing something right. So if you want to be that person and develop your work to a professional standard and you want to know when your work meets that professional standard, the things that you need to do are pretty simple. First, start meeting people now, especially other writers. Second, yeah, it's probably not a bad idea to read a bunch of screenplays by professionals. And third, yes, you need to write a ton. And finally, and this is definitely the hardest part, as you continue to do these things consistently, try your best to just have patience and have fun and trust the process. There is some talent that's necessary in this game, but in my opinion, talent is overrated. If you have the passion to keep at this for years on end, then there's a really good shot that you have enough inherent talent that you can eventually become great at it. It's just a matter of putting in the time and being intentional in terms of your efforts to improve your skills and meet people. And by the way, if you are one of those passionately stubborn people, then welcome to the club, and I wish you all the best in your own journey. Hey, if you like what you're seeing on this channel and you want to support it, well, I don't have a Patreon and I'm not going to start one. I do this stuff for free because to me, it's about paying forward the knowledge that people have given to me over the years. But hitting those like and subscribe buttons doesn't cost a dime. It does support the channel, as does leaving a comment if you feel so inclined. So if you feel like doing any of those things before you do whatever it is that you're going to do next, go for it. And I'll see you next time.